celebrate Mother's Day, it's one thing for me to have a conversation with my mom, but then to have a conversation with my kids, who of course are the reason that I get to be a mom myself. And so first we're starting off with Jacob. Jacob Michael Thrasher is now 22 and a half years old. And a lot of you guys know his story. But I wanted you to come here and tell these kind folks a little bit of maybe what it was like behind the scenes with me as your mom. So what was the worst part of being my kid? And then what was the best part of me being your mom?
I guess I'll start with a hard part for me. You were not a bad mom, like far from it. There are moms who are way worse than you. And you always did your best to, make me and Lola happy. I think the worst part was kind of, and even now, I don't see it as a bad part. When I was growing up, I saw it as bad because you set the standard for us to, be better, You wanted us to be better than the students, than our cousins. Not just academically, but emotionally, and how we behaved and that sort of thing.
So I was strict.
Yes, you were pretty
So
strict.
the worst part of me being your mom was that I was strict and I had very high standards.
Pretty much. And which, considering our lives, that's actually not too bad. And again, I don't see it as a bad thing now. Like, you helped make me, your strictness helped make me the man I am now.
So have you started to see that some of it was obviously a high expectation for success, right? And morality, like a compass of central core beliefs that we could actually be proud of. But some of it was just, I was completely incapacitated and struggling through poverty as an adult with two dependents. And there was just, some of it was external limitations, whereas some of it was me having high standards. And so the combination of the two, I'm sure, felt pretty oppressive at times, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, our mom's strict and we're poor. Cool.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a reason why today my imagination is kind of very active, is because, I'll be honest, there were days where I didn't want to be in my life. I wanted to be somewhere else on some grand adventure or something. But now I appreciate the life that you gave me and the life I have now.
Mamas out there, I don't know if you guys know, obviously I have a boy and a girl, and so parenting Jacob is of course completely different than parenting Lola, who we'll hear from in a little while. But Jacob and I we struggled a lot. I was a single mom from the very beginning. I was married to their biological father, and we were a nuclear family, but he went to war both times I was pregnant, and by the time he came back, I had a 1.5-year-old and an 8-week-old, and then there was this man who was war battered, and I had to ultimately choose, and there were circumstances that led me to that choice, but the reality is I could not care for him and take care of myself and these two babies. I had to choose. And so I chose Jacob and Lola and me over their dad. And I still have guilt from that. The consequences and the ramifications of that decision are permanent. And yet I don't know where we would be had I stayed. And had I thought that, because there was barely enough of me to stretch to me and Jacob and Lola. And if there would have been a husband who needed a lot of help on top of that, I don't know that we would have survived.
If I may transition into kind of what I liked about you as my mom, the best parts, I always saw you as more than just my mom. I saw you as a complex woman with a past and desires and, needs. And one thing that I saw that you needed was
a strong shoulder. I needed strength.
At the very least, you needed somebody to grab your water bottle, go to the nearby racetrack, and fill it up with ice water. Right?
My favorite.
I saw.
Set my coffee. You always set my coffee in the morning to make sure I had coffee when I woke up.
I'd wash the dishes. I'd go get your cheese dip from El Rodeo. I was like, well, if I can't totally be the man of the house.
But I never told you that, right? I never looked at you and said, you're the man of the house.
No,
Do you know that that was something I like committed to myself, that I was never going to do that to you. I was never going to put you in this place. But it hit me in the middle of parenting you that nobody has to tell a young man of a single mother that he's the man of the house. Like, you assigned yourself that. I didn't assign you that, right? Like, you knew.
It's a part of, like, I don't want to say man's ego, but, like, it's partly man's ego, but also
assignment? Your assignment?
It's like man's urge to protect.
Isn't that what masculinity is?
Yeah.
Right. So that's healthy, though, right?
Yeah. And again, like, I saw you as a woman, and I tried to be who I could be, and I'll also say when we got along. Okay. I mean, I remember.
We've had some magical moments.
One of my memories, still I have it, is kind of our first mother-son date, almost.
Right.
Lola was over at Rosie's on a slumber party or something like that, and it was just me and you. You took us to the grocery store. You got a whole bag of buffalo chicken strips, which we made in the oven. I think back we were still doing Redbox because you got one of the Pirates of the Caribbean's Deadman's Chest, I think. And there we were, you were on the couch, I was sitting on the ground with the brown chair behind me with this big plate of buffalo chicken strips, and we watched Pirates of the Caribbean.
Thank you for the way you fight for us. And thank you for seeing me and always giving me the space to be a woman and not just your mom. I hope that you always know how much I love you. And I hope that as you become a family man and get married and have your own children, there are just these moments where you're like, wow, all right, yeah, she was crazy. But man, my mom loved me, because I do. I'm grateful for you, but I think it's about time that we introduce a Miss Thang to join us, because there's no Amy as a mama without a Jacob and a Lola. When Jacob was 1 year old, there was a little magic moment between my ex-husband and I, and we decided we definitely wanted to continue growing our family. So, Lola is the
small one.
The tiny princess. She's the small one. And honestly, anyone who knows our story knows that we were deemed the three little birds at some point. That's a totally different story all in and of itself. But really, anyone who really knows our story knows that Jacob and I would have never survived without Lola. Lola was the glue, is the glue. She's kind of the most rational out of all the three of us. Until she's irrational, and then we're all sunk. But you are, you're the treasure and the thing that solidified me in my existence. Because I had a boy one, and then I got a girl one, and I knew when I was pregnant with you that the chances of y'all's biological father actually making it through everything he was going through and being a part of our family, I knew that was probably not going to work out, right? So I had a boy one and a girl one, and at some point it's like, well, all right, it's you, remember, isn't there a song on Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? I got you two, and you two have me.
You two have me, yeah.
We will not sing for you guys. You're welcome.
Copyright.
Anyway, welcome. Happy to be here. So this little segment, I think we're going to talk about maybe like some of the funniest things that happened together. And when I asked the kids to do this for me, I challenged them, like, come up with things you want to talk about, like the good, the bad, the ugly. You can talk about anything. And then maybe at the end we can share this story about that the three of us have in common. And Jacob, it was you who said, what about the
pizza box incident?
The pizza box incident. So, Lola, why don't you start us off?
We were, middle school?
Yeah, it was back when Mom was
working for P. Kent Eichelser.
Okay.
Yep.
Attorney-at-law.
And it had to be a break or an off day from school because we were at home.
Or
Mom
summer
was at
break.
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably summer break.
Yeah, probably so.
And we always, this is weird to some people, I'm finding out now later in life, but whenever we got pizza for dinner, we would leave the leftover pizza in the box and put it in the oven, and that's just how we kept it. So there was always the rule, you gotta check the oven before you turn it on.
Because you never knew it was in the oven.
You never knew it was in the oven.
I was the one to preheat the oven, and unfortunately, it had slipped my mind to check the oven first. And you know, at first, nothing seemed fine. You know, me and Lola were doing our thing. I think we were like probably watching something on the
Watching
TV.
something, playing Wii, something.
Maybe. And then we started to smell the air. I was like,
Something's not right.
and then I think we both kind of looked at each other and like, oh.
The pizza.
I just remember thinking, oh crap, Mom's gonna kill us if we burn the house down.
Yeah.
And so we both kind of sprung into action. You were the one that first went to the door and started.
So yeah, I think what I remember is
The pizza box on fire, by the way. Guys.
Yes.
The pizza
The
box
pizza
is
box
on
is
fire
very-
in the oven. The oven's being preheated. Pizza box, pizza on fire in the oven.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I remember, once we realized something was burning, we opened the oven and the pizza box is on fire at this point. We're like, oh no, what are we gonna do? So my gut instinct is, okay, we gotta open the door, get some of the smoke out. And then I remember Jacob grabbing the hot pads and grabbing the pizza box. Being like, okay, what do I do with it now? Like, we gotta take it outside.
And I just remember I dashed out of the house past you. I just went to the trash can and I just tossed it in there. I was like, okay, that's good.
Okay, it's gone.
Kind
But-
of. Because it's still on fire.
Yeah, it's still smoking and I'm
Didn't
like,
even think about that.
and then I thought, what if it sets the trash can on fire? And then
as
that's
soon as we thought that, like, all I hear is whoosh, and you can see the flames through, the lid in the trash can. So
And-
the inside of the trash can is now on fire.
So they've created a dumpster fire, essentially.
And so I knew where the pitcher
I was
was.
about to say, we actually used this picture, right?
That picture?
We
That
used this
picture.
picture.
I knew where it was because sometimes I'd make like lemonade or something like that. So I always knew where the pitcher was. So I ran back into the kitchen, I grabbed the pitcher, I started filling it with water. Lola's still like,
I think either I'm fanning the lid of the trash can or I'm fanning the door, trying to get the smoke out of the house, something.
once the pitcher was full, I ran to the trash can, I opened up the lid, and I just poured the water in, and then ran back to the house to refill the pitcher.
Okay.
And that repeated about 3-4 times
Yeah.
until we were very sure the fire was out, smoke was gone, and all that was left was 2 very scared children, a slightly charred garbage can, and the smell of smoke in the air.
Yeah. And so we knew what we had to do next, and it was call Mom and let her know so she didn't come home to a smoky house in the case we couldn't get it fixed.
I was the one to call her, and I was like, okay, Mom, don't freak out, but something happened. Essentially, I forgot to check the oven, and unfortunately the pizza box caught on fire. Me and Lola are okay, the house is okay. We got the pizza box in the trash can, we got it put out. The house still smells like smoke, but we're all okay. And yeah, that's what happened. Just so you aren't coming into the house and like, why does the house smell like smoke? You were like, I'm glad you both are okay. I'm glad the house is okay. I love you both. I gotta go back to work. Click. And I just remember I kind of looked at Lola and I was like, did that just happen?
Yeah, we were pretty shocked that she wasn't more upset a little bit. Just because we were always worried she was going to be more upset. But we had this rule growing up. It was, you blow it, you own it. And if you are honest with me about it, then I'm not gonna be upset with you.
And that was the day where,
We found out that was absolutely 100% the truth.
yeah, I mean, we blew it. We really blew it. We almost very badly blew it. But, you know, once we fixed it, we owned it up. We owned it, and you were okay. You were glad that we were okay. You were glad the house was okay, but you know, you had to go back to work, and you trusted us not to set any more fires.
I think ultimately, I knew you guys had it. I knew you guys obviously knew you had done something dangerous, but you were able to recover, and you knew to pick up the phone and let me know what was going on. And yeah, that was the rule, and it's still a rule, guys. Still a rule in my life, and it's still a rule when it comes to the three of us. You know, like, and there are times where I'm the one who blows it. Raising these two, I cannot tell you how many times I had to sit down with them and be like, I was wrong. I was a jerk. I got mad. I was out of control. I'm exhausted. And I put myself in timeout. And it was by example, I think. But yeah, that day, and that was always the rule. You blow it, you own it. If you break a dish, just tell me what you did. Like, don't lie to me. Don't make me figure it out. Don't make me have to come to you and say what happened. Just come straight out. And yeah, there was Jacob, little Jakey voice on the other side, Mom. And I remember it very differently because I'm just answering the phone like, good afternoon, you know, Ken Eichelser's office. This is Annie. How can I help you, Mom? Something bad kind of happened, you know, and he's ready. He's ready to go to jail. You know, he's ready to be like, to be read the riot act by the mom. And I was a strict mom. And he's like, and I'm like, what happened? You know, spit it out, you know. He's like, we didn't check the oven and the pizza box got set on fire. And I was like, is it still on fire? No. Where is it? In the trash can. Is the trash can on fire? No, we put it out. Not anymore. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I was like, are you and your sister okay? And you're like, we're okay. And then I said, okay, so what's the problem, Jacob? And you're like, the house smells like fire. And I'm like, burn some incense an hour before I get home. Thank you for calling me. I need to go back to work now. Is everything else okay? And you're like, are you serious right now? And I'm like, you blow it, you own it. I mean, it sounds like you guys have it, you know? And I was like, yeah, I'm serious. I got to go back to work. I love you. Thank you for not burning the house down. You blend those stories together and you probably have the real core story.
Yeah.
And I got home and it didn't smell like burnt pizza box. And my kids, maybe I loved them and were more proud of them than I'd ever been. And they were nervous, and there might have been like 5 sticks of Nug Shumpa burning at the exact same time to make sure there was no way that I was going to smell the fire. But I think that kind of solidified us as a nuclear family. Because yes, I was strict and I was hard and I had high expectations. I was also feral at times and let them eat popcorn for dinner. Because I was an ice cream for breakfast because I was too busy dressing up like a pirate and being a non-role model. But somewhere in between all of that, you know,
there
like
was unity. We were a family.
And I wanted you guys to know no matter what, like my number one goal for you guys when it came to being your mom was that you knew as you got older that I told you the truth. And yeah, there were moments, of course, that were hard, and there are brutal parts of our truth, right? Like, hey, by the way, your biological father quit our family, and he lives in prison now. Hard truth, right? Hey, your mom kind of has some issues when it comes to the gentleman in her life, and may or may not be able to have any kind of a real relationship ever, right, with a healthy guy. Okay, hard truth, you know? Hey, I struggle with alcohol and tobacco and marijuana even, and sometimes I use substances to cope, and I'm not always put together. Real truth, right? But I knew that even though the truth was ugly and hard, that as you guys got older, you'd be like, yeah, mom may have blown it, but at least she owned it. And then what it turned into is like, you guys tell me the truth, kind of no matter what, you know, and we just trust each other. Isn't that what we were just talking about earlier this week?
Yeah.
We trust each other. And we tell each other the hard stuff. And we know how to ask for each other's help. And we know when to say, I know I'm acting like a jerk right now. Thanks for letting me emote. So I'm so proud of who you guys are. But I think that was a really funny, dangerous, terrifying, amazing portrayal, right? Good story, kind of right in the center of our lives as to who we are. Okay, so I was talking to Jacob, and I think probably the two most impactful questions that I have for you. What was the worst part of me being your mom, and then what was the best part of me being your mom?
Well, I guess we'll start with the worst part first, just because it's going to be the harder question to answer, I think. I think a lot of it was just watching you struggle, especially with dating and all of that. Knowing that you could do better and kind of wondering, I guess, why you did it. But also knowing why you did it. Knowing that you just love big and want to love the unlovable.
I think that's probably 90% of my problem, right? Is that the cuter the little stray dog is and the more like unlovable, the more I'm like, oh, I can love you, you know? Because I really do believe that like love just fixes everything. But then there's also a part of me, right, that's broken. My picker's broken. And probably I don't believe that I'm worthy of something that I would demand you had, and that I would demand my son give, and that I watched my father give to my mom.
Right.
My father give to you.
Yeah.
Grandpa taught you the same thing that he, you know. So that broken thing it's a hard thing because it's not a story that I want to tell anyone, let alone tell my daughter. You're the tenderest place inside of me. Because I see me in you. And yet you are so much stronger than I was. And so much truer than I was. And you just, and it's your circumstances, right?
Yeah.
It's the story. It's the story we were given, right? There's some external circumstances here that we didn't have a say in.
Well, and I spent most of my childhood looking at my mom and hearing her say, this is how I am, this is how I was raised. Be better than me.
Always. Yeah, and I think moms of daughters, tell them the truth, right? And say, these are the things that I went through. These are the things I struggle still with. Like, learn from me. Like, stand on my shoulders and be a more powerful woman than me. Be smarter, be wiser, get there faster. Be better with your finances. Be better with your dating. For the love of Jesus, please be better than me at dating. But this young woman, I just can't really express to you what it means. You're my favorite. Yeah, my favorite daughter, of course. But, you know, you make my life make sense. And you also challenge me to be a better woman. All right, so I guess I've distracted you enough. What was the best part of me being your mom?
There were definitely a lot of things. We had a moment when I was pretty little where she broke me from lying, and that has really helped me get where I am. And then she was always really good about finding the good in the situations we were in, like just finding something to be happy about or finding something fun to go do. So I know sometimes you don't see that, but I am pretty good at doing that in my own life because you did that.
Which is the way it should be. I know that you're over in your life rocking it. I'm not worried about it. And I know that I'm your safe place. And I hope I always am. I talk a lot in a very kind of self-effacing, but it's humility, right? There's no pride in it. Like, it's real. We struggled a lot. But I was famous for blasting the music and saying it's ice cream for dinner and going on a dance off and finding something joyful and happy in all of the crises. And so there were a lot of moments that were excruciating, but I think where I'm at is I'm still living in the mom guilt. Like, all I can see is what I did wrong. But when I hear them talk, all they talk about is that I kind of got it right.
One more thing is probably, once I got past, I'd say about 8th grade, I realized, oh, my mom's right about just about everything. And so I would come to you with just about anything and be like, Mom, am I being crazy here?
Why do you think I'm so right? Why do you think I have such a good track record?
Life experience. And you're good at reading people.
Unless I'm dating them.
Unless you're dating.
I think it's because I love you so much and I just absolutely want what's best for you. And so I really like can extract all, it's like I can, right.
It's just black and white.
Right. What is the best thing for this human being that I love?
Yeah.
Do that. There's just no gray area. And it's easier, honestly, to parent you than your brother. I love Jacob. He's my favorite son. But Lola and I just understand each other. We're both girls, right? And so there's always just been this like super easy flow between the two of us. Obviously, you can tell Lola has the least to say out of all of my people. But in a way, I hope it's because I've poured the most into her. All right, guys, so you probably have at least a little bit of a better idea of why I am the way that I am and these two fantastic human beings that came out of me. It's easy to put yourself out there and to say, here's my story, pay attention, look at my art, read my book. But to me, the art becomes so real when it becomes relatable. And there's nothing more real about my life than being a mom, having a mom, and being a mom. So on this Mother's Day, I just want to invite you maybe to like get a little closer to your kids, get a little closer to your mom, recognize what's important, give someone a call, right? Tell someone the truth. Maybe even like grab her and be like, hey, let's take a video and put it on YouTube and show all these people who we really are. So thank you, Lola, for coming out today and for wrapping up the video shoot. Thank you, viewers, for watching. I am sure we'll see you next time. Love you, mean it.